So both Rambo and Teasel are down for the count. Teasel's been fatally wounded, and now Rambo too realizes he has been shot. His nerves are paralyzed. He looks around the park and begins worming towards the play sets on the playground. The man that was in the house, followed by his woman, come out, and once again, this time the man, armed and ready to take the law into his own hands, comes after Rambo. But Rambo's not taking any chances and blasts out the guy's shoulder. The man falls upon bicycles on a rack and becomes rather wimpish, indeed rather fast. Excuse me, sorry. And we see that Rambo's fucked, like he can't even shoot straight. He was trying to kill the man but had missed. So, Rambo's lying there bleeding like a stuffed pig and keeps crawling on. Checking the bullet wound entry where it had ripped through his broken ribs. And he fights to stand, gets over to a thorn bush across the playsets, and has deja vu. But that too is wrong. Oh, and the exchange, using this new pain to mask the old pain while he's going through it. And so Teasel lay there dying too, and he finds his strength to speak with an old woman who approaches to help, but he shuns her off. Her house is burning off in the distance, and in the siren wails, he mistakes her for a ghost. All he wants is to know how it's going to end before he leaves this earth. And Troutman, carrying a pump-action shotgun, aside Kern, giving orders to evacuate the streets, come racing towards him with dozens of troops, and they circle Teasel, and they share words and split up, and Teasel's having some sort of half in and out of it, out of body experience kind of thing, and he's still semi-conscious and wild-eyed brags to Troutman that he is the victor. It's his last confessions. So, growing fascinated with his current position, he feels like him and the kid are one. It's awkward, and it's, through this last stand of Vietnam in miniature. The clash of Korea and Vietnam. And he's talking to him. Teasel's talking to Troutman, and he's just rambling on. He's like, it's my town, my war, my victory, my fight, my way, my bullet. I won. I told you I'd do it. Whatever. And it's kind of how he goes about it to Troutman. So, the gas station, that's been blown apart, starts erupting more, and it takes out more of the city, and Kern comes back to meet with the trio, and they're formed, and it's like, it's fucking fire everywhere around them. And surprisingly, Troutman decides to take up Teasel on his premonition, and a slight understanding of everything manifests into reality, and people begin tending to the fires, and Troutman decides he's going to finish this. Like, fuck this, right? So Teasel makes Troutman promise to let him be there for the end, and he no longer really hates Rambo, and out of an ode, pushes for this closure to Kern and Troutman, and Troutman speaks rather brokenly, knowing Teasel's goose is cooked, and it's rather a gory bit as the town burns, and it's sadly melancholistic, I should say. So Troutman pumps a shell, loads the chamber, and begins up the lawn toward Rambo, and Teasel's crying out, and there's blood everywhere. Teasel ends up getting to his feet and follows in pursuit. He doesn't want Troutman to steal his kill. It has to be him. It has to end with him. And things come about slightly different, though, now that things are starting to move fast again. And Rambo is trying to crawl to a shed, eventually giving up because of his claustrophobia. His flashbacks eventually, realizing that, he's just motioning. He's not even really moving all that much. And he grows cold and numb, and his body is shutting down. His only real concern now becomes finding the proper place to die, gracefully and in his own way. And he's been avoiding using that last stick of dynamite in his pocket. And he crawls down looking for the perfect place. And he finally decides on a patch of tall grass. And watching the fires glow amongst the cloud shapes and stars, at last there wasn't anything left to do for him, At last he doesn't have to keep going, keep finding something to do, knowing that there's always something to do, knowing that he always has to continue. And he starts to think of God and his beliefs as a child, and begins to pray and ask for forgiveness. Full of regret he is, but kind of not at the same time. He had fought for freedom and rights and had been stripped of all of it. He had loved too much to fight, too much pride, and fights himself over theories of control and principle, and to die for it.